Okay, so now that we have covered what variables are, now we need to know how to make or declare variables and then use them, right? So to declare, we first need to declare a variable, which is the same thing as making or saying that, to the computer, hey, I want a variable which has a name and this, and then I want to put in values in these variables. So that has a syntax or like a specific order of code to do, and that's given here. So you first have to say either one of three things, that if it's dim, private, or static. I will come back to what each of these are, but right now generally for the first word we generally will be using dim, and then we specify what our variable name would be in camel casing, and then we specify the data type for after the name, then as, and then our data type. And some examples are given, like dim, then the variable name is hours as an integer, or pay rate as double. We have the option of initializing the variable with some value or character, based on if it's a number or a text variable. So you can say, your hours might be 12 or 7 or whatever, and that you put after your data type. So given here in example 3, is data okay is a boolean variable with initial value of true. Similarly, hours can be 7, or a string called message can be good morning. If you don't assign an initial value, if it's a number, it'll automatically go to 0, and if it's a string, then it'll be assigned quote quote a 0 length string. So the program generally takes care even if you assign nothing as an initial value. So assigning data to an existing variable. So we already talked about it. We can do that right at the beginning or somewhere in the code. So to assign to values a certain variable, we need to have the name, and then followed by assignment operator, which is just a fancy name of equals to, and then what our value would be. It can be a literal constant, which is a data which does not change. So if I say hours is equals to 5, then that 5 does not change, right? So hours will have 5 inside it until unless we have another line of code where hours has some other name, some other value. So as long as it's has the 5 value stored in it, it's going to be called literal constant. Similar for strings. In strings you can give name as Brad or whatever in quotation marks, and that will stay in the assigned string variable. And for constants, if you don't define what kind of data type it will be in your declaration statement, then if the number does not have a decimal place, like if it's just a whole integer like 79 suppose, so it will treat that as an integer, just because it requires less memory, and if not, then if it has like decimal points, then it will be just treated as a double. So here some assignment examples are given. So example 1, 2, and 4, these are basically constant assignments. So quantity will have a 650, first name will have a James, or discount rate will have 0.05 in it. And this might change later on, you might give some other value to it, but as long as you don't assign anything, these are constant variables. However, in example 3, you'll see that we defined a string called zip code, which is equals to zip text box dot text. So there is somewhere in the program there is a text box which has a name of zip text box, and whenever the user inputs something in this text box and runs the code basically, or maybe presses a button, then whatever is in that text box will be automatically inserted into your zip code. So suppose if in this zip text box, which is basically a zip code, we enter 63701, that's gonna be entered into our zip code variable once we hit some button or run the line of code, and it's gonna stay that way until we assign or we input some other value there and again run that line of code. So as long as the line of code is not run, the previous value of zip code will stay there, and that is what we'll work with.